We've all seen this kind of game. It's the game where you fly a little spaceship around and shoot at enemies. But have you seen today's modern take on it? Check it out next on Mumbles. Welcome back everyone to another episode of Mumbles. Today I'm here to bring you guys another game review. Today I'm taking on kind of a throwback to classic games. Today I'm taking on a game called Space Toads Mayhem. Before we get into that, I do have to ask you guys all a huge favor. If you haven't already, please do support the channel by dropping a like, leaving a comment, all that good stuff, guys. It really helps the channel out, it helps the channel grow. The more likes it gets, the more people see it on YouTube, and it just helps me out a whole lot. So anyways, guys, let's talk about Space Toads Mayhem now. Now, Space Toads Mayhem is made by a company called Lime Vibe Games. And to this point, they haven't made any other games other than Space Toads. I do want to point out that Lime Vibe Games is basically a one-person studio that has made this game. Now, Space Toads Mayhem is available for a price of $3.99 on the Steam Market Store and can be played on both Windows and Mac computers. Now, first things first, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about this game by reading you guys the actual description of the game from the developers themselves. Space Toads Mayhem is an arcade-style, top-down shooter paying homage to the classics from the 1980s. Some say it tastes like arcade-flavored ice cream with laser blast sprinkles. It's a challenging reflex-based game rewarding a player who enjoys fast-paced action and can utilize enemy behavior to his or her advantage. Select features: dodge 'em up style gameplay. Constant skillful player movement is required in order to survive at later stages. Anticipation and skill are key, as the player's spaceship is often not fast enough to twitch out of trouble at the very last moment. Enemies with personalities. Simple emotional states are implemented which affect how enemies behave. For example, each enemy chooses to attack a player at different points in time since being spawned. Epic power-ups. Megadeth Sun and Vicious Red Hole are among those making it easiest to work with oncoming hordes. Chance for a good drop mechanic. As the player progresses through each level and the difficulty increases, good power-ups are harder to find and nasty traps start to appear. Gameplay mechanics inspired by action RPGs such as Diablo. Arcade-style challenging action. Due to a degree of unpredictability in enemy behavior and randomized gameplay elements, it is not possible to truly learn any levels by heart. Therefore, the player needs to stay focused each and every time they play. So basically, Space Toads Mayhem is a throwback to the Galaga type games with a little added spice to change things up a little bit. Now let's talk about the graphics, the soundtrack, and the controls. First off, the graphics in this game, I gotta be honest with you guys here. The graphics aren't really my forte. They are bright and colorful, and I know I have said most of the time, if you make something bright and colorful, you'll probably win when it comes to Mumbles reviews. But here's the thing, guys. I just feel like they could have done a little bit more with it. I know that they wanted to go with the retro type inspired graphics, but I do feel they could have made them a little bit sharper, a little bit more pleasing to the eyes rather than, you know, having red and green all over the screen all the time. Just my personal opinion. Now, soundtrack wise, this game basically has one soundtrack in it, and it is gaming elevator music. There's nothing special about it. It's just kind of music to keep you intrigued in the game. It doesn't match what's going on in the game, you know. So soundtrack wise, it's just whatever. Control wise, you can play this game three ways. You can use your keyboard, you can use your mouse, or you can use a controller. Those are your three options. For the most part, the controls are well made. However, I do have to address one thing. Keyboard wise and mouse wise, as you are playing this game and you go to fire, you have to continuously click the button. It's not just to hold in the button and go. Nope, it's a continuous clicking of the button. So it does get a little tiring on the fingers at times. Now let's talk about the gameplay of this game. This game basically plays like Galaga. There's not a lot to say here, not a lot to talk about. It's basically fly around, shoot the enemies, learn their patterns if you can, and don't die. You get basically 3 respawns and then you have to start the whole game over again. That's all there really is to talk about on this thing. There's different power-ups. The power-ups sometimes do screw you over. And that's really all there is to talk about, like I said. So let's talk about the cons of this game. The first con that I have for this game is almost too similar to Galaga and those type of games. Yes, they did add the element of different graphics and things like that. But for the most part, I'd rather play Galaga because it's classic and, you know, it's Galaga. Now, my second con for this game is that this game is rather repetitive. You knew what you were getting when you got this game if you decided to get it, but it is still very, very repetitive. Yes, there are different kinds of enemies, but for the first like 2-3 levels, you're just killing the same people over and 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 over again. So there you go. That's our second con for the day. The third con is that even though this is a throwback to Galaga or something like that, Mumbles always says that if you have some kind of story, a game like this can be so much better, and that concept does apply here. So we've talked about the 3 cons. Let's talk about my overall score for this game. Space Toads Mayhem is a retro throwback to games such as Galaga, and they did a good job of honoring Galaga. But here's the thing, guys. Galaga is Galaga. Galaga is a classic. And I think that Galaga really does better because Galaga came out first. Galaga was, you know, a mark that was set that people had to try to reach. And it's for that reason that while this is a nice throwback, I didn't really dig it all that much. I don't really like the graphics. The soundtrack was just whatever, and the constant clicking got on my nerves. And maybe this is just me, but I just wasn't really all that impressed with the game itself. And I hate to rag on creators or developers or anything like that because they work so hard on these games. But I also do have to be honest with you guys and just be honest and say I wasn't that impressed. And it is for that reason that I'm going to give this game a 5 out of 10 on today's Mumbles review. With that being said though, if you are a fan of Galaga or those type of games, check this game out. You're probably going to love it because it is as close as you could get to Galaga without it being Galaga. Anyways, guys, this has been my review of Space Toads Mayhem. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Please smack that subscribe button, smack that like button, smack all those buttons, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye, everyone. Take care.